He's hoping.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Zuggy's Zone Live. I'm Zuggy, he's Jet, and this week, I believe, we have fixed our live stream woes from last week. That is yet to be seen. We're going to wait and see when YouTube updates here for us. But we are live. We got a lot of football stories today, and I'm excited for it. I'm also very tired. But Jet, how are you doing today?
I'm very excited to start talking about football and how the start of the season is going to look. We're going into preseason week 3 now, so a lot of what we're seeing, we're going to see the starters start to come out more, and, you know, kind of like how we're talking, we're going to start seeing teams finalize a lot of those big moves before they actually have to get serious with their teams.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this last week of the preseason, Major League Baseball. We're getting closer to playoff time. People might start looking at those playoff probabilities, looking at your schedule down the stretch. I know I'm looking at my team right now and saying, wake the F up. Like, what are we doing, guys? We're losing to the Mets, which I get. The Mets are good. They're desperate. Getting beat by the Phillies. We got to put some wins together. We need to win the division. I do not want to be playing in the wild card this year if we can help it. Which you may be wondering, Blues jersey, Mariners hat, what's going on there? Mariners, my AL team. Always have been. But, if it was the Cardinals versus the Mariners, Cardinals all day. Gotta take my team. All right, we're going to move into the weekly wrap-up with our first story of the week, which is a big one regarding your new favorite team, the Cincinnati Bengals. So Hendrickson of the Bengals is being shopped around the league because contract negotiations have stalled a little bit. He's at practice, not fully practicing. And there's a lot of teams that'd be really wanting to jump on the opportunity to get the NFL sack leader on their team.
Oh, yeah. Look, he's at practice and he's giving Shamar Stewart, the, newly signed first-round draft pick, pass rusher. He's giving him tips and tricks, and he's kind of letting him in on some of his secrets, which is amazing. That's great. But you know what's better than one pass rusher? 2. Especially one that's the leading sack holder. And it baffles me that contract talks have not progressed any. New Bengals fan, I don't know what to really expect. I've talked to a couple buddies from Ohio, and they've said that this is pretty much the same old song and dance with the Bengals, though. They suck when getting contracts done defensively. Now, offense, you see T. Higgins got his, Jamar Chase got his, and Joe Burrow got his. So they don't have an issue on the offensive side of the ball, but whenever it comes to defense, yeah, no, they're struggling. And I don't know. I think trading him would benefit, especially since they want a young defensive player and a draft pick. They want capital. They want high capital for him, but I don't know of any team that's willing to trade away any young prospect that has really good upside as well as draft picks just for Trey Hendrickson. I think they're better off just getting a deal done than having to rely on, a trade to bail them out.
Yeah, I mean, they're not arguing over money as much as they're arguing over long-term security. He's on the wrong side of 30 now, and you saw TJ Watt just got that big deal because of how important he is to that Steelers defense. I mean, we've seen it. When he's off the field, they are really, really bad. But even with Trey Hendrickson on the field, this Bengals defense is horrible. And I'm looking at this right now saying, if you can get a trade done, I would prefer if they could do that. You look at your team. You have very little cap space left. If you get him a deal, you're not going to have much left to sign depth for the next few seasons or even at the trade deadline. This team just drafted his replacement. You were okay last year at run defense. Your passing defense is what let you down so badly last year. You look at the touchdowns and the rushing side of things. I was looking at the stats. That's all stuff at the 1-yard line. They're just running it in. The majority of the damage against the Bengals was over the top of them. They need to get secondary help, and if you can make a trade happen and pick up a young defensive back, you're not going to get a star player and a draft pick. That's not how this works. But let's just say you get a first-round pick and a decent guy who maybe is a 2 on your team, which is still asking a lot. I know the Bengals don't have a lot of leverage here with the season coming up. They probably won't get exactly what they need. that's probably what they need to do to really round out their roster. Hendrickson's great. I mean, we all know it. I mean, replacing the NFL sack leader is going to be nigh impossible, even with drafting his replacement. Getting a potential Hall of Famer in the draft is tough, to replace a potential Hall of Famer. So I like the idea of trying to trade him, and he's not going to take a one-year deal. I wish he would.
No.
I think that'd be the best thing for the team. You're in win-now mode. If you could get him a one-year deal and he could take it, that'd be great, but he's looking for that security because he's on the wrong side of 30. He gets hurt, and his career could be over tomorrow.
And I think, kind of to build off that, I mean, they don't have the leverage, especially in the fact that he's in his final year. Who's to say they don't just wait his last year out and pick him up as a free agent? 2, the Bengals could franchise tag him, but then that creates even more discourse. He could sit out on the franchise tag, too. So, I mean, the Bengals are really putting themselves between a rock and a hard place where it's either they're letting him explore trades, but it's either you basically give him what he wants or you're gonna lose him to free agency at the end of next year.
Yeah, that's probably where they're at on that. But, hey, they're going to be a decent football team this year, with or without him. I mean, the offense should be good enough to hopefully carry that heavy-ass defense. And we're going to go through that later in the show. That is our special segment today. I'm a Bills fan. We're going to break down the Bills' schedule. I'm going to give you my predictions on their record, and you'll give us the Bengals' prediction. But that is our first story. We're going to move on to our second story in the weekly wrap-up. Daniel Jones and Joe Flacco are your starting quarterbacks of the Indianapolis Colts and the Cleveland Browns. What were your reactions to that news?
So, Daniel Jones as the starter does not shock me near as much as, I guess, some people. Anthony Richardson has had a horrible start to his whole NFL career. I mean, he's sat himself during games. He's been riddled with, injuries. And he has not seen the better part of a 50% completion rate. Like, he has had probably one of the biggest draft bust careers in the modern quarterback era that we have seen. Now, Daniel Jones is not much better on the other side of that coin. I mean, look at how he did the last few years on the Giants. And he's still being paid by the Giants, if the Colts didn't take that contract, for that 3-year, $160 million extension. Like, he has still, both their options at quarterback are not appealing. Both of them are bottom of the barrel, scraping by right now. Now, there are people who say, oh, we haven't seen Anthony Richardson's potential. We need to let him, explore more and all of that. And it's like, we've had 3 years to let Anthony Richardson explore. We let him pretty much take control of the offense last year for the Colts. And during a drive to put his team on top and to try to win the game, he sits himself. He sat himself because he was tired. So, quite frankly, I don't think Anthony Richardson is your long-term solution. I don't even think he's a short-term solution. I think Anthony Richardson fades out after his last couple of years in the Colts. I don't disagree with the choice in Daniel Jones because it's what they have, but I definitely think the Colts should have done better this year and maybe should have picked up a quarterback, but I think they're waiting for somebody like Arch Manning later on down the line, or probably an even later college prospect. I think right now they're just like, let's scrape by, let's try to get at least wins in the win column.
I don't like this. I'm kind of on the other side of it, and that I don't like this decision from them. I wish Richardson would be the starter for the Colts this year because he still has that potential. I get it, he's been bad. The stats have been bad. He's not doing what he needs to do. His reads aren't there. He's not an accurate passer yet. The Colts are making this move to put Daniel Jones in to maybe win 7 games this year or 8 games.
Yeah.
Where if you put Richardson in, if he plays really well, you might win more than that. You might sneak into the wild card. If he plays bad, you're getting a good draft pick. I look at it saying you either have a higher ceiling or a lower floor. You don't want to be stuck in the middle because you're picking in the middle of the first round. And I look at their coach, he's desperate, and their GM has been on the hot seat for a few years. I believe they're just trying to scrape into the playoffs. They want that wild card spot. They want to get in there, and they're saying, well, Daniel Jones could do it, where Richardson maybe doesn't, and I think they're just desperate here. But if you let Richardson play, you know for sure this season, if he's bad, he's not going to be good. You can move on from him. Now you got to make a decision next year. If Richardson doesn't get in this year, next year you're looking at the same choice of, well, he has 1 year left. Do we play him? Do we start him? What's he going to be? I think just getting answers and knowing what he's going to be now is the right move for the organization, because you either win more games or you lose a lot more and you get a nice draft pick for next year.
Yeah.
And I look at baseball, we're Cardinals fans. The Cardinals have had this thing for years where we've had these players like Newt Barr and Burleson on the team that were like, these guys are young and exciting, but we don't really know what they're going to be over a full season. We're finally starting to give them some of that runway, and we're starting to know what we got. And, one of them is maybe a keeper, one of them isn't. And you have other players that didn't get playing time where we still have questions about them because they keep splitting time. Like in sports, let the person go out there, let a player go out there, let them show you what they can do, and then make a decision. And I don't like the Colts putting Daniel Jones out there because we know what he's going to be. At best, he'll be a field manager, and he's going to throw some bad picks and make some stupid decisions. At worst, your team's going to be bad. So I don't know.
And another one to kind of build off with a baseball analogy, Victor Scott II with the Cardinals. He has a ceiling and he looks like he could do well, but he has been riddled with injuries, so we can't see his potential full throughout a season. So, that also kind of hails back to Richardson. We haven't seen him for a full season because either he benches himself or he gets injured, and then he's out for the rest of the season. So I understand where you're coming from. See him for a full season, whether he's good, whether he's bad. If they sneak into the wild card, guess what? You can improve Anthony Richardson. If, he bombs and you get a high, draft pick, now you know that you need to move on from him. And to kind of build off of that point, apparently now Anthony Richardson's agent even says that their trust in the Colts is questionable after the QB decision. That came out this morning, midnight,
if I'm
1
the Colts,
a.m.
my trust in Richardson is questionable with the lack of work ethic and pulling yourself out of games and not being very accurate and, not being fully dedicated. But you know who is pretty dedicated to football? A 40-year-old man who is now the starting quarterback of your Cleveland Browns this year, the one and only Mr. Elite,
Sir.
Joe Flacco. Browns have made the decision. He has won the QB battle. It wasn't much of a battle, let's be real here.
No, it wasn't.
But yeah, Joe Flacco is the starter of your Cleveland Browns this year, and he's old, but he's serviceable. And with the roster they have, they might be kind of sneaky in the AFC.
Well, and it's kind of bad that Joe Flacco is looking like the best option at QB. I get that people are upset Shedeur Sanders is still fourth on the depth chart, and that he, they think the Browns are doing him a disservice. But look at the teams that they've played in the preseason so far. The first week, Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers have been notoriously awful the past couple seasons. They're working to improve that, but the Panthers are not a top-tier team. They started Shedeur in that game, and he balled out. But again, it's against the Panthers. Then they put Dylan Gabriel against the Eagles, the Super Bowl reigning champions. And he doesn't have a awful performance, but he doesn't have, as fantastic a performance as Shedeur Sanders. And they're like, oh, well, he's just bad. And it's like, no, he had to play a tougher opponent.
Yeah, the Eagles' twos are a lot better than the Panthers' twos.
Oh, yeah, 110%. So it's like, you can't use that argument because Dylan Gabriel, they trusted him enough to put him against a tougher opponent, and they just put it in Shedeur to play, second string of a bottom-of-the-league team. But now we're going into preseason week 3, and it's looking like we're going to see a little bit more Joe Flacco on there. And, it's funny that we're talking Colts to Browns, because that's exactly what Joe Flacco did. Flacco came in off the couch to play for the Browns, brought them, I think, into the divisional round of the playoffs that year, and then went to the Colts. Did absolutely nothing with the Colts. Actually he took over whenever Richardson benched himself. And then he's back with the Browns, and now he's actually won the starting job. And you got to think at 40-something years old, he's not as, prolific or, decorated as like what Tom Brady was or anything like that. But to still be performing at over 40 years of age and to be able to win a starting job, whether it's the Browns or not, but to be able to win that starting job over some young prospects, you got to give credit where credit's due and respect to Joe Flacco, because, dude is really showing his skill.
Yeah, he's never been a super mobile guy. That's never been a big part of his game. And they have a pretty good O-line. They have decent weapons, not great, not top tier, but they got some guys. They got some dogs out there that he can get the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
I think he should be somewhat successful, but I look at next year is going to be fascinating for the Browns and for Flacco, because Flacco's probably not going to play next year. Let's be real. He's getting his bag. He might be a backup. And usually what you do when you have a vet is you have a QB sit behind them, because they just drafted 2. But usually it's only 1, not 2 guys. So next year we're going to have another battle where it might be Shadur versus Gabriel again, or one of them gets traded or moved. This is kind of something that we haven't seen, or at least we don't see very often in the NFL, of a vet mentoring 2 people at once. And now we got a QB battle for next year. So the Browns are kind of saying, let's try to be competitive this year with Flacco, not throw these guys in there and wreck their confidence. But then next year you got some tough decisions to make. And speaking of decisions, the Browns keep making some poor decisions as a franchise.
They're questionable.
Yeah, so they signed Isaiah Bond to 3 years, $3 million, which is weird. Usually you have these young guys coming in as draft picks. You go through those negotiations. This is a free agent contract for a guy just now coming into the league. Don't see that every day.
Undrafted free agent contract.
But, you know why he wasn't drafted? Well, because he had sexual assault allegations, like a lot of people on the roster, which I'll get to. And he wasn't found not guilty. They just didn't have enough evidence to convict, so he could still be not guilty, or he could still be guilty of sin, but in the eyes of the NFL, he is good to go. And on the football side of it, I like the signing. You need some wide receiver depth. This guy can give you some. He was really good in college. He has to come in and learn the offense now. He's coming in a little bit late. It's a good signing. But the Browns can't keep doing this. They can't just go out and get guys with criminal records. It looks bad for the organization. And a lot of these guys have battered women, have put hands on women, and I feel like you lose your female base when you do stuff like that. And a lot of guys are like, I don't want to, like, I used to like the Browns a lot. They were the lovable loser. Now I watch them go out there, and I don't know if I want them to win every week, because the guys on the field aren't the greatest people.
Well, and what I think is really funny is, with all the cases that came out, I want to bring up Justin Tucker off the Ravens. Whenever his stuff came out, he got released quick off of the Ravens. And the memes were already starting that the Browns were going to sign him. Like, there were AI photos of Justin Tucker in a Browns uniform and everything. And it's like, no, that's not going to happen. And it didn't happen. But now you give not just a $3 million 3-year deal, you give a fully guaranteed $3 million 3-year deal. That's unheard of.
Yeah, I don't love that. Because, what if he ends up getting suspended or does something like this again? That's the tough thing.
That is $3 million. It is almost like they did not learn their lesson from Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, you gave him all this money, 5 years. He was your quarterback of the future. And like our previous story, now we're in a 4-way QB battle. Deshaun Watson's not even a part of the conversation. It is 2 rookies, back up to a Super Bowl team, and Joe Flacco. The Browns just can't, they do some good, and then they're just like, ugh.
Yeah, fan support is just bad. They've done a few things. So they keep signing criminals to the team, which also I will give some credit. They said that they went through, they vetted him, they did a hearing. They're doing all the legal talk and saying, hey, we did our job, which I kind of doubt given their history. But they said they did, so, we got to believe them. And Bond also said, I kind of want to play for Tommy Rees, their OC. He has Alabama ties with Jerry Jeudy. He kind of wanted the Browns. They're also one of the only organizations that would be willing to sign him. So he's going to take any money he can get. $3 million is a lot of money. Good for him to get his bag.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so bummed with the Browns right now that they keep doing this. Right now on their team, they got Deshaun Watson, who I know is not playing, but sexual assault. Mike Hull Jr., domestic violence, already been suspended for it. Isaiah Bond, sexual assault. And then Quinshawn Judkins, domestic violence. And you're looking at possible suspensions for Judkins. They're still looking at maybe suspending him.
He's still
You
under
keep doing
investigation
this.
right now. Yeah.
The Browns are so, like, they should be fine. They should be a fine team. If Judkins plays this year, their O-line's good. They've spent a lot of their draft capital on the defensive side of the ball, at least their first 2 picks. They're trying to get better. They're trying to be competitive. They might be better than the Steelers this year. They might sneak into a wild card if everything goes right. But, it's hard to be a fan of them when you got these guys rolling out there, and then they're having their local taxpayers paying for a new stadium. That's a dome. Nobody wants a dome. It's AFC North football. We should not have domes in the AFC North. I mean, they want to host Super Bowls. I get it. But I don't know, man. Fan support has to be at an all-time low, despite the fact that the team might actually be competitive this season.
Look, and I'm going to hail back to week 1 whenever I said, hey, the Browns have some weird immunity going on. They really do. And I do think that a change of scenery would do good for the Browns.
Dude, no. I mean, it's your take. You're allowed to have your opinion, but the fans did nothing wrong. Like, just because the Rams got moved because of crappy ownership doesn't mean that the Browns should get moved. It was the ownership decision, and for the Raiders, the Chargers, the Rams, ownership seems pretty invested in Cleveland, even though Cleveland doesn't like their owners because they're bad. They haven't done a very good job with the franchise since they've owned them. Do you have any finishing thoughts on the weekly wrap-up this week?
I mean, I don't know. The Browns are going to be the Browns, and the Browns are they're bad. And I hope they do better this season, but who knows at this point? Who knows if they're going to, who knows if they're going to do phenomenal? Who knows if they're going to do, good, bad, and different? I'm hoping they can at least do better.
They have a tough schedule.
I'm hoping they can at least do better. They do have a very tough schedule. Now, however, as far as the rest of the weekly wrap-up, I mean, I'll say this. We did try to find other stories for you guys. We tried to find MLB, NBA, anything. It's been a slow week, other than football. Football is back, and it's back in full swing.
Hell yeah.
So, while we will talk other sports on this show, football is in season, so don't be shocked if there's a lot more football than there is, some of the other sports.
Now, I will say there's one more thing. It's not a big story, but, a Mariner, Victor Robles, just got suspended for throwing a bat at a pitcher in minor league baseball. And I thought that was fun. He keeps getting plunked down there. He keeps getting hit. He's trying to rehab. He wants to make it back by the end of the season, and people keep hitting him down there because these AAA pitchers, they're not the greatest with their location.
No.
If you know anything about minor league baseball, pitchers in AAA are kind of ass. There's a lot of guys that are never going to see Major League Baseball, and if they do, they're going to come in to be a bullpen guy. These guys, the starters, are pretty dog. So he keeps getting hit. He throws a bat, and now he's getting suspended, which he should. You can't throw a bat at somebody. You just can't do that.
No.
But I thought that was a fun story to leave off with the weekly wrap-up. We're going to move into our special segment where we're going to break down the schedules for our 2 favorite football teams, as we're going to start off with the Buffalo Bills.
How fun.
All right, so before we get into the schedule straight up, and I know it's cropped weird, the way we got the graphics set up, a lot of these websites do not want to work, but we will work on it. I'll keep trying to get the graphics better as we roll along here. We're using OBS. Most of the stuff you see on your screen is a GIF that's repeating. We're doing all the cheating stuff we can do to make the graphics look good and get it to work with our program. But look, the Bills this year spent all but one of their draft picks on the defensive side of the football. We know that's our problem. We get exposed in the playoffs, and it's not necessarily the player's fault. I think McDermott does not game plan well enough, and going against Andy Reid and that whole coaching staff over there, there's Spagnuolo, it's tough. Those guys are football geniuses, and McDermott's a good coach, but he's not on their level. you try to get some dogs this year. You try to go out there and sign some guys in the draft, hopefully get some more depth because injuries have been an issue for us. And we need some guys to show up. We don't have enough stars, and I don't know if we still have enough stars. I don't look at our defense and say, we got a game record, because I just don't believe we do. But I am scared for the season that a lot of key players missed time in training camp with injuries, and the defensive backups that we have out there, including some of the guys we just drafted, don't look good. I mean, you're making the Bears look like world beaters. You made the Giants look like world beaters. That's pretty damning of your backups. And I get it. It's maybe, a lot of the threes are out there, but the twos got to look better. I mean, last year you saw it. As soon as Benford got hurt in the AFC Championship game, our secondary was cooked. You had Kyer Elam out there looking like a fool, tripping over himself and letting Chiefs receivers get wide open. We got to be better this year in the secondary, and we're not doing it so far in the preseason.
Yeah, no, and it just... The Giants game was at least semi-close, right, with the preseason?
Yeah, it wasn't awful.
But my God, the Bears?
We got destroyed in every aspect.
5-12 Bears? You get almost 40-0'd? You didn't score a single point. You didn't kick a field goal, which field goals have always been a little iffy with the Bills, shall we say. But I mean...
come on, don't go there. Don't go there. And also, he's dealing with an injury right now. Our kicker's been
Tyler
dealing
Bass?
with... Yeah, he's having groin issues right now. Just too much action, That man, what a stud. And then off-season, we picked up Josh Palmer, Joey Bosa. Those are some of our big acquisitions. I think Palmer's going to fit in nicely, give us a nice other option, because we already have two solid guys, add another guy in the mix that can make things happen, has decent hands and some decent size. And then we got Hoecht and Ogunjobi. They're both suspended, but mid-season, I think we're going to get some guys back, and the defense should hopefully be reinforced. They're not world beaters, but they are serviceable backups, and in a starting job, I think they'll do in a pinch. Let's start off with our schedule. I've kind of teased it a lot, and I think the Ravens, even though we're at home in this game, dude, they are mad after last year. They should have beat us.
Oh, yeah.
If Mark Andrews has a decent football game, not even a good football game, they win. But he makes some bad plays, doesn't catch the football, and they lose. And I think right now they're going to come out swinging. They have Super Bowl aspirations just like us. And I don't like the way our preseason started. I think a lot of our guys are rusty, missed too much time. I got the Ravens week 1 over us, and it'll be close, probably come down to the last few drives, but I got to give it to the Ravens. They're going to come out, and they are going to be pissed after last year and the way their season ended, and they want to make a statement to start the year. Do you agree with that?
I don't know if I'd say they win, per se, mostly because I have a little bit more faith in the Bills. I think Joey Bosa's really going to tear up that O-line. I think Josh Allen is, he's starting to get more comfortable with his receivers and everything. I genuinely think the Bills are going to be a force to reckon with this year. Do I see it? Yeah, I see the vision of the Ravens winning that week 1, but I don't know. I'd almost pick the Bills on week 1.
I just don't love it. I mean, we start the season a little bit slow. I say that when you look back a few years ago, we played the Rams. And I was really excited about that season. You got Von Miller, you come out. I think we hung 40 on the Rams, even with Josh throwing 3 or 4 picks in that game. I just feel like we're going to be slow. A lot of guys miss time with injury. And the regular season, if I'm a Bills player, you don't have anything to prove in the regular season. You don't. I mean, maybe go get the 1 seed. If you don't get the 1 seed, you just got to make it and beat the teams in front of you. I'm just going to speed this up a little bit here. New York Jets. Let's be real. We should win this football game. I know we're, at MetLife, so hopefully nobody's ACL explodes. That's a win for both teams. Win the game, get out of there healthy. Miami Dolphins, their secondary looks awful. They're struggling in their practices. O-line is still questionable for them, but they've always played us pretty tight. We do kind of own their franchise as of late, though. I think we can get that one done. The Saints are the Saints. I mean, it's going to be Spencer Rattler or Shuck at QB. We lose that game, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be throwing things at the television if we start losing to the New Orleans Saints this year. So right now, we got ourselves at 3-1, but I think this is an L. This is a trap game with the Patriots here. New coach, new weapons, new O-line. They're not better than us. I can see us losing this game. I really could. I know people are going to say that's stupid, but we got to lose eventually. You win 3 straight. You're coming into this game hot. You just played against the Saints of all teams. This is trap game all over it. I think the Pats take this one, and then Bills get motivated after that. You got the Falcons, should beat them. Even though we're in Atlanta, you get your bye week, you come back, you get a bye to prepare for Carolina. If you can't beat Carolina off your bye, you should not be a Super Bowl contender. I think we take that one, and then you got the big one against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are going to do the same thing they always do, which is they're not going to show us their playbook. They're going to keep the offense very vanilla, and we'll squeak out a win, think that we can finally get over the hump this year, and the playoffs they'll show us their entire playbook and their entire scheme and, probably beat us. But hey, I think this is our year. Of all the years, I think this is it. We got Miami again, and I think this one will be really close. We're going to be in Miami. Still take the W on that one. That'd be a season sweep. I don't know. I mean, who's going to – we don't even know if Tua's going to make it that far. Let's be real. As mean as that sounds, you never know.
I don't think Tua makes it that far. I don't.
I hope he does. I really do.
Know.
I mean, I know Bills and Dolphins fans, we don't get along. We argue a lot. But Tua's a good guy. I mean, his entire life has been football. And to take football away from him is a very cruel thing. To achieve your dream and then have borderline CTE already from all the concussions, that's just a rough way to start your career, especially with all the talent he has and the potential that he has. And you saw what that offense looks like without him. The backups cannot understand it. His football brain is awesome. His IQ is insane as a quarterback because that offense is so complex. And then we got the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are a solid football team. Feel like we're going to win that one. And then the Texans. They always play us really tight. And, the Bills had been on a run up to this point in my prediction. You got to lose one. I think this is the one. The Texans play us good. Someone has a bad day. Something happens. I'll give the Texans that. Steelers should beat them. Bengals would be a very close affair, but the defense
I think that's going to be a shootout.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a shootout of the ages, is between the Bills and the Bengals.
And I would honestly say this, game on the line, I need a QB to make the throw. I would rather have Burrow. I mean, he's a better passer. I'll give him that. They need they need a touchdown with 2 minutes left. I take Burrow over Allen in that instance. I mean, we both think he's going to be the MVP this year. I think the Bills get it, though. I think the Bills get it done. That defense is just too rough on the Bengals. We're not losing to the Patriots twice. Not happening. The Browns, we're beating the Browns. We better beat the Browns. And then the Eagles are just a wagon. It's week 17 late in the year. Some people might be out. Some people might be missing time. I don't know if we can win that football game. And we finish with hopefully a win against the New York Jets, which puts our record on the year at 4 losses, 13-4. Is it enough to get the 1 seed? That is yet to be seen. Bengals time.
Bengals time. Alrighty, so I'm looking at my schedule right now, and I mean, we're already starting off with a freeway series. It's going to be Bengals versus Browns, right? I think the Browns lose. I don't think they walk away week 1. I think the Bengals walk away. Yeah. And honestly, I think that's the way that we need to start the season, is just with that win, hard start, kind of build some momentum. Jacksonville Jaguars, I think we're going to take that W. Look, they have Travis Hunter. That's great. They still have Trevor Lawrence throwing hospital balls. I do not think that the Jacksonville Jaguars in any way, shape, or form are going to be a threat to anybody, whether it's defensively or offensively. I think the Jaguars are going to get embarrassed, not just by the Bengals, but by just about the entire league as a whole. Minnesota Vikings, I see us taking our first loss. Now, J.J. McCarthy is still brand new. However, I do think that he is that next sort of elite, maybe not necessarily elite, but he's going to be that next top tier quarterback. So I think the Vikings are gonna beat us that one.
Hey, wait, can I hold you on that for a second though?
Yeah, go for it.
Did you hear that the Vikings are now looking for more wide receiver help?
Mm-hmm.
With Addison
Jordan
being
Addison's out.
Yeah, they're looking for someone to pair up with Jefferson to start the season. So keep an eye on that. I mean, that could be pretty big.
They could get another veteran receiver that is just makes that loss a little bit more difficult.
Adam Thielen comes home. Who says no?
Adam Thielen. I don't know.
Great route runner.
He is, but he's having fun trying to build with Bryce Perkins, which I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good fit. I mean, he knows the franchise. He'd be well received.
He does.
Why not pick up a guy that on third down he's going to be running the right route? You can rely on him. I'd like that pickup for them if they did it.
Now, week 4, Denver Broncos. I see us taking the W. Bo Nix is great. You know, their defense with Pat Surtain is awesome. However, I don't see the Broncos beating Joe Burrow in that offense. Defensively, I get that we're weak on that side of the ball. However, I don't think that their one safety is going to be enough to stop us, to stop the offense in its entirety. So, yeah, I think Bengals walk away. Now, the next 2 weeks is going to be the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. I see us going on a 2-game losing streak. The Detroit Lions, their pass rush is just too damn dangerous. They are lethal with it. Hutchinson is back. He's in prime form. You know, you got Amon-Ra, you have Sonic and Knuckles, you have, oh God, why is his name eluding me? Quarterback.
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
Jared Goof.
Jared Goof.
Goofs it up in the playoffs.
I think the Lions take the win on week 5, and the Packers, Jordan Love's got something going. I mean, the Packers have not produced a bad quarterback since it's been a while. Brett Favre.
I mean, it's been a minute, man.
While. Anytime that they see any sort of dip in quarterback performance, they just go get another one, and they immediately bring him up to speed with it.
What a lucky franchise, by the way. I better never hear a Packers fan complain that, oh, I'm a Packers fan. You got plenty of rings, great history. You got Hall of Famers all throughout your history, and you got these great quarterbacks. Don't complain about it, man. Like, I get it. You know, you're kind of on the fringe right now. You're in a tough division, but shut up. At least your team didn't miss the playoffs for 20 straight years like mine did.
Mm-hmm. Now, after that, I see us going on a 3-game winning streak. It's the Steelers. Their defense is awesome, but I think Joe Burrow is going to be able to get it out, like, air it out to, you know, to T. Higgins and to Jamar Chase. I think he's going to be able to do that. The Jets, I have no hope in the Jets other than maybe on the offensive side of the ball. I think Sauce Gardner's great, but he can't hold that whole defense against the Bengals offense. I think that's very much a win for the Bengals. And then the Chicago Bears. Look, the Chicago Bears may have played really well against the Bills in the preseason. I don't think that's an omen of things to come. Ben Johnson is doing great work with the Chicago Bears. He's having great camps and all that. I don't think you have the stamina, especially by week 9, to hold up to some of those greater offenses, especially with the defense you have. Give it a couple years, maybe the Bears are going to be different.
Yeah.
But as of right now, week 9 is a win. Week 10 is the bye. Oh.
Well, I was going to say with the Bears, I think you're dead right with them. In a few years, they'll be there. But that's kind of been the consensus for the last, 5 years is they're building to the future, and they never quite get there. But I think they're finally on the right track. And the Jets, you say you have no hope for them. I was like, Fields could maybe have a, new start to his career here. And then I saw his photos for Media Day. He's running the ball in his photos. Like, there's no photos of him throwing. That's just the story of his career. I thought that's funny. Sorry to interrupt, though. Let's move on to week 11.
No, you're good. Yeah. Week 11, right after the bye week, I see us taking a loss. I think the Bengals have that they are on that winning streak, and then they hit the bye, but then they have that slump. They have the bye slump, where it's just they come out of it very rough.
You're going to lose to Aaron Rodgers. Really?
I think so. I think the defense might actually hold up on that one. I don't know if it's going to be an offensive shootout. I think it's very much going to be a low-scoring game. I think that's where the defense is really going to shine for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is right after the bye week. Week 12 is against the Pats. I see us winning that game. I don't really think I need to dive deep into that one. The Pats are building, but, they just got done with their 20-year dynasty. They're trying to rebuild to at least have a winning team now.
You lost to them last year. Played a pretty crappy game, and that was a lot. And that team was a lot worse. They got a lot better.
It was.
That could be a good football game.
It could be, but I still see the Bengals taking the win. Now, the next 2 weeks, back-to-back losses. Back-to-back losses, 110%.
Maybe 3. Maybe 3.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
the Bengals may have a easy schedule, but they still have curveballs in there that are absolutely terrible to have for the Bengals, especially when they're coming off of a barely winning season, right? So week 13, week 14, Ravens and Bills respectively, back-to-back losses, 110%, I think so. I think the Ravens are going to embarrass us in that one with the pass rush and with their secondary help. And then with the Bills, I think Joey Bosa is going to eat up our O-line and just absolutely smother Joe Burrow. And I think that, Josh Allen, he's going to take full advantage of, the lackluster defense that we have, and he's going to have a field day. I would not be surprised if last year, where he had the receiving, the passing, and the running touchdown, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another one of those in Week 14 against the Bengals defense.
Yeah, that'll be a really fun game, though. That'll be good.
It will be.
I just hope we're healthy. Because you say Joey Bosa, that's one of my biggest question marks, is can he stay healthy? He's also getting older, but we need him. We need him to be good, man. We need a stud back there.
Week 15, I do see... So, Week 15, I see us taking the W against the Ravens. I really do. I think that the Ravens are really good in the beginning and the middle of the season. They kind of start to fall apart towards the end. It's always when they get close to playoff time, they start to show those weaknesses of inconsistency. So I think the Bengals are going to be able to take advantage of that in Week 15. And I think a lot of times it's because by Week 15, the Bengals have that playoff spot pretty much secured. So they kind of start to back off. They lose that momentum. So I think Week 15, we pick up the win. Week 16 is Miami, and I cannot see us losing to Miami. If we lose to Miami, now we are in Miami,
right? So
warmer weather, and I do think that works well in the case of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, especially playing in Louisiana and all that. They know how to play in that warmer weather. I definitely think that they have that going. But I also think the Dolphins they're going to be in a rough spot this season because of culture. Their culture is so lackluster right now. They have the hip young coach and all that. But Tyreek Hill pretty much put your entire organization on blast last year, and now you're having to recover from that and rebuild a relationship with a receiver that basically told you 2 games left into the season last year, hey, I'm out. So I think this whole year is pretty much another rebuilding year for them, but culture-wise, not gameplay-wise. But I think that's going to affect their performance really hard.
I agree. But that could be a must-win game for the Dolphins, as I don't think they're going to be bad. They're probably going to be in that wild card mix. They're going to get to this game, and they're going to say, hey, we got to win. And this is going to be prime time. This is Sunday Night Football. Dolphins probably need to win that one if they want to have a chance of making the playoffs this year.
Oh, yeah. And then Week 17 and Week 18, sorry, you might hear the dog in the background. Week 17 and Week 18, it's Cardinals and Browns. Look, Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., good little mix-up. I don't see them beating the Bengals.
Yeah.
I think Week 17 is a win, and I think Week 18, it's going to be a rehash of how we started the season. Week 1 and Week 18, go to the Bengals. I think Bengals own Ohio as a whole, and I wholeheartedly believe that the Browns are going to get, again, they're just going to get embarrassed on home turf.
Joe Flacco, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. Oh, yeah. He secures the MVP at age 40. Takes him into the playoffs. No,
wouldn't that be something crazy?
If Mike White can throw for 400 yards in an NFL game, which, by the way, he did against the Bengals, who's to say Joe Flacco at 40 couldn't?
Hey, man, wide right.
Hey, that's not very nice. Dude, I could not imagine being, if I was a kid, right, growing up watching my team, and we lose 4 straight Super Bowls, I don't know if I could stay a fan of that team.
I don't know if I could either.
I appreciate not being born and having to deal with that, and then becoming a Bills fan right around the time that the drought ends and not having to deal with that, very grateful. Because I was a Rams fan, I thought about the Bears for a season, and I'm like, nah, Chicago. I can't root for a Chicago team. Same reason why you didn't want the Bulls for the NBA. It's like you just can't root for Chicago. We're St. Louis. We hate the Cubs, and we hate the Blackhawks. So why would we root for the other teams? And then the Bills, I saw them make the playoffs that one year with, what's his name? God, I can't think of his name. Why? Like that dude is one of the most important. Anyways, quarterback. He came in. He was awesome. I don't know why I'm blanking on him. It's early. That is really bad, though. That's a demerit on me as a Bills fan for not remembering his name right now. Anyways, that is all for our predictions for the season. So I got 13-4. What do you got the Bengals at?
I have us at 11-6. So I have us winning 2 more games this year than we did last year.
So we could end up meeting up in the playoffs. Could be fun.
Here's hoping.
That'd be scary, though. That is scary. Because you guys
I'll tell you now,
could win any game.
If we meet up in the playoffs, that'll be a real fun episode that week. That will be a really fun episode that week.
I get so nervous in the playoffs. I mean, last year we make the AFC Championship. I'm on the bus, and I'm legitimately sitting there talking to my friend about God during the game. I mean, I'm asking for God's intervention to get the Bills over the hump at this point. I mean, we deserve it. Buffalo, there's not a lot going on in the city. The Sabres are bad. Please give us a championship. Give us something to celebrate because those fans deserve it. We're going to move into what's more likely. This is a fun segment, and we got to figure out what we're doing with the chat because there's only one person here, but we should still put the polls out there. So, me or you first this week?
Oh, why don't you go first?
You want me to go first? All right, well, let me get my poll. I'll start typing that into the chat here. Essentially, let me give you the rundown of what we're going with for what's more likely. I'm going to give you 3 players in the NFL, 3 young players, and I'm going to ask you, who do you think is going to have the better NFL career, or at least have a successful NFL career? Because, who knows? Maybe in a few years, these guys won't even be in the league, or maybe one day we're putting them up there in talks with Breeze and Brady and the Mahomeses of the world. So, my question to you is, who's more likely to have a successful NFL career? Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, or Shedeur Sanders?
Honestly, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, or Shedeur Sanders. Man, that is hard. That is really hard. But you also see kind of the moves that the Giants are really making to try and improve Jackson Dart, playing him in the preseason, trying to give him more receivers, trying to build him around, trying to build the team around a young player. Shedeur Sanders, they're kind of treating as if he's there, but he's more or less just kind of there because they needed him there. And then you have Cam Ward. I mean, I think they're treating Cam Ward like how a lot of bad teams treat those first-round draft picks of he needs to be the messiah that saves our football franchise, and he's the only big move that we're gonna make. So, honestly, I think out of all 3, oddball pick, I think Jackson Dart's going to be the one that has a better career of the 3. I think Cam Ward is going to get bogged down very heavily by having to be that savior, and he might get the Justin Fields treatment. And I don't think Shedeur Sanders, while he has the hype around his name and everything, I don't think he's ever going to get a real chance in the NFL to be a starting quarterback because, I mean, he just had way too much drama coming in, and especially during his draft interview, the cockiness that he had going into the league of, if you're not trying to change the culture, don't draft me. All right, dude, 31 of 32 teams passed on you, and if you're 4th on the depth chart, you're about to get dropped, if not put on practice squad. Obviously, and it's bad because the Saints are terrible with Tyler Shuck, right? They still picked him over you, voice crack, but they still picked him over you. You know how bad that is that they're willing to tank their season just so they don't have to deal with the drama that comes around the name of Shedeur Sanders? I think Jackson Dart has the higher ceiling. He's got the higher floor, too. I think Jackson Dart's going to be the next big thing coming out of that rookie class.
I like that breakdown. That was very nice. I'm going to go with Dart as well, and so is the chat. We do have somebody voting in the chat, which is awesome. They're going with Dart. I I like Dart. You got Dayball, who did work a lot with Josh Allen, helped him turn things around. You have weapons. You're starting to build things, and he gets to sit behind Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, assuming Winston stays for the whole season. Those are two guys that have had a lot of ups and downs in their career, and I think Dart has good work ethic. He's going to put in the time in the film room and really sit down with those guys, and he's already looking good. One of my big tests, the eye test in preseason, is you're watching somebody navigate the pocket as a young quarterback, and you see the training camp guys, the practice squad guys, and a lot of the UFL guys that come in, they start to panic. You see them go back there. They don't look comfortable. They're not stepping up in the pocket or avoiding pressure. He's made good decisions so far, and he's making nice throws, which is very encouraging to see. And Cam Ward, they're putting the franchise on his shoulder with not a lot of help around him. Still have some things there, but the Titans aren't going to be good this year. And it's really tough when you got a guy like him. You're going 1 overall. You're expected to be a savior immediately. That is a lot of pressure. And then Shedeur, you don't even know if he's going to be the quarterback next year. They might go with Gabriel. So I like your analysis of that. So Jackson Dart, for both of us, that's our hot take, is going to have the best career out of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. What is your what's more likely question today?
So I think my what's more likely question still revolves around, that Browns QB carousel is the biggest story to come out of this offseason. It's the biggest story going into the season. I guess my what's more likely is who's more likely to get dropped or even traded by the end of, even by the trade deadline, but who's more likely to get traded this season between the Browns QBs of Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, or Shedeur Sanders? Because genuinely, I think that Joe Flacco, they're not going to get rid of. They need a veteran presence like him who knows winning culture, who has the Super Bowl ring. I think he sort of has that immunity of getting traded because he's the one that can bring that sort of winning mindset to the locker room. Kenny Pickett, he has that Super Bowl ring, but he was the backup. He couldn't do anything in Pittsburgh. I think Kenny Pickett is the next Jimmy Garoppolo, but I also think Jimmy Garoppolo is a lot better than Kenny Pickett. So I think Kenny Pickett is he's going to be first on the chopping block whenever they can. Dylan Gabriel, they drafted him third round. Obviously, they see something in him that they want. They wanted to build around him. I think the reason they let him drop third round is so that way they could get him a little bit cheaper, so that way they didn't have to pay him as much. And, Shedeur's there. And, again, he played well against the Panthers, but it's the Panthers, man. It's the Panthers. And I think, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's a hard one. I'm interested to see what the chat thinks on this one. Are you able to get the poll out there? Do you still have the terms?
Unfortunately, no. I have tried reloading, and it will not let me start a poll, so I apologize for that.
So I guess this next week we'll get you logged in on the Zuggy Zone account, because I thought if I gave mod, that moderator should be able to start polls. You say...
Moderators should be able to start polls.
Hey, mods, put a poll in the chat. I feel like I've heard streamers say that a lot, but clearly we have it set up wrong. But of all the quarterbacks to get traded, I really think it just comes down to next year and their training camp and preseason. You have two guys that have some promise. You took two quarterbacks for a reason, and I don't see anybody getting traded this year other than, Pickett can't stick around. There's no reason to keep him on the roster. You know what he's going to be. You've seen him play in the NFL, and I don't love him being back there. He doesn't do anything for the team. Let the other guys sit there, be on the sidelines, and learn from Flacco. And at the end of the day, I think that Shedeur, the fact that he's that confident in himself is going to go a long way. It may be to his demise at sometimes, but you see a lot of guys come in, they act all, put on the humble show like Gabriel and say, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to learn. He says, I'm going to come out there and ball out. I think the mindset's better. I think he has more body talent than Gabriel. Question is he going to put in the work? And if I had to choose between the two of them, I'd probably go Shedeur, even though I don't love his attitude, and there's a reason why teams passed on him. Because let's be honest here, the Browns are signing actual criminals. Well, criminals. They haven't been, they didn't go to jail or anything. to their team
Yeah.
because they want to get better at football. So you're not going to not take a really good quarterback because of his personality. You might take another quarterback, but eventually they still landed on him. If they think he's going to be good. Teams will draft talented players because they want to win, especially at the quarterback position. So they still see something in him, and I think he'll be the better of the two eventually. So I see Gabriel eventually being the backup or getting traded.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't get the poll out.
That's fair.
I couldn't get the poll out to the chat, but
all good.
I think a lot of people agree with that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it does come down to next year because both Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco are 1-year deals. And I get that the attitude is go out there and ball out, but at the same time, at the NFL level, it's a team game. It is not just that go and ball out that he was able to do at Colorado with his dad and everything and have his brother on the other side of the ball that, kind of helped pad that sort of Sanders, name. But I think just that ego is, having your number retired while not winning a single bowl game.
That was disgusting.
Or losing two, in fact. Having your number retired, doing all that, and you're a fifth overall and you're at risk of getting cut from the Browns. That just blows my mind. And I think there's just a little bit too much nepotism in that one for me to be comfortable with him having such high stock. I've never heard of a 5th-round pick getting this much attention. Yeah. This much money, this much attention, this much media, whatever. So I don't know. I think I want Dylan Gabriel to stay. I think Shador's probably going to get traded. I think the Browns just ended up getting stuck with him because of the media pressure. So, I honestly, my pick is on Shador.
On Shador getting traded.
On Shador getting traded,
See,
yeah.
Because you're right. I'm not just looking at... It sounds like I might just be saying, well, he's going to ball out because he says he's going to. I just like that he's confident in himself. As an athlete, someone who's competed, the minute you start doubting yourself, that's the minute you start to fail. And you're learning a lot of things at the NFL level. You're coming in, you're going to fail. And the fact that he's still confident in himself and still thinks he's going to be all that, I think that bodes well for him, even if it's a little annoying at times. And the fact that he gets all this media attention and that he's said some bad things about his teammates at Colorado and maybe isn't the greatest teammate all the time. He has the same amount of athleticism and talent. Maybe he didn't play against as good of opponents as Oregon did in Dylan Gabriel. So,
yeah,
there's a lot of things to consider, but I think it's kind of a toss-up. And if I had to pick one, which I have to because it's what's more likely, I think Shador will be the starter next year, and Gabriel probably will get traded at some point. But I like that we both have our own takes on it. That's the whole point of what's more likely. Occasionally we don't always agree on things, and that's the fun of this show.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to move on to Into the Trenches?
Let's go.
All right. Well, this segment, if you've never watched before, is a fun one. This is the segment in which you famously said the Browns should leave Ohio. And,
Yes,
I've
sir.
also had some hot takes, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off today. And it has to do with this team right here. You went first. I believe you went first last week on this segment.
I think so.
Yeah, so I think I'll start us off here. And I have a graphic to show everybody. And it's a very popular one you've seen on Major League Baseball Twitter. And I got to be honest with you guys. I think that Cal Raleigh should be the AL MVP this year. People are going to disagree with that. And you look at these numbers, and honestly, you can't see the whole thing because our setup is kind of poor. But I can kind of read you guys what it says on here. Judge has more WAR. He has more hits this year. Higher batting average, higher OPS, higher slug, higher OPS plus. The argument for me is not that Aaron Judge, it's not that Cal Raleigh's a better hitter. Because game on the line, I'm taking Aaron Judge does kind of struggle in the clutch. But statistically, you're taking Aaron Judge in the big moment. You need a hit to win the game. You take the guy who's probably going to put the ball in play. And when he does get a hit, he hits doubles. He hits singles. He hits home runs. He does everything. Where Raleigh this year, when he does get a hit, it's usually a home run. He does strike out a fair bit. But what I really like in this argument for Cal Raleigh is the fact that he is a catcher, and he's doing something we've never seen a catcher do before, while he's also playing in the hardest ballpark, according to Park Factor, to hit home runs in. Where Judge hits a fly ball that would be a warning track shot, basically anywhere else, but because he's at Yankee, it goes over, Yankee Stadium, it goes over that right field wall. So his home run numbers have always been a bit inflated. He's still a great ball player, and I'm not taking that away from him. He's the type of player, I went to go see him the other day when he was in town playing against the Cardinals. He's the type of guy you record the at-bat. You take the photo because you know he's going to be in the hall one day, one of the better players of this generation. But, I mean, with voter fatigue getting mixed in there, he's already won an MVP, and Cal Raleigh doing what he's doing, 47 home runs, leading the major leagues, being one of the better defensive catchers, has not allowed a passed ball this season, at least the last time I looked, which was last night, which is very impressive. I understand they have a great pitching staff over there, and they usually are in the zone and hitting their spots, but he is not allowing people to get a free pass back there. He works with the staff really well. And all things considered, the fact that he's a catcher makes him more valuable than Judge being in the outfield. He's a better catcher than Judge is an outfielder, and he also has to be involved in every single play, calling pitches, managing the game. You got to give it to him. I get it's a Mariners. Yeah. I'm a Mariners fan. I'm a bit biased here, but Judge is going to win another MVP. When are we going to see another catcher do this?
I think the last time we saw a catcher do this genuinely was Yadier Molina.
Well, offensively now. But defensively, I mean, you look at the stolen base numbers over all the years. People didn't run on the Cardinals because they knew. Cal Raleigh's definitely not Yachty defensively, but he is 10 times better offensively. He's better than Salvador Perez in his prime. I would go there. Some people may disagree. Buster Posey was another guy, all those years was able to be an offensive threat while being a great defensive catcher. But you haven't seen a guy hit 47 home runs as a catcher before. He's on pace to break records, could potentially go for the major league record all time for home runs in a season, which seems unlikely because he's cooled down since the All-Star break, but it could happen. And even then, 50 bombs as a catcher should usually be enough to put you in the talk, add the defense on top of it, and I think he's your MVP this year.
Very nice.
So you don't disagree?
I do not disagree, no. Honestly, I think these offensive and defensive performances from a catcher are so rare and so minute that seeing one really should stand out and really should be like, hey, that dude is playing like any other ball player. Like, I get the Judge is one of the best players in the game, home run machine. I think the only person's numbers who he hasn't beat is like Mark McGwire. But that was Mark McGwire on steroids.
And Judge is a better hitter,
Judge
too.
Clean. And he is.
Yeah, because he actually doesn't strike out every time he goes up there. Where the man you're talking about, juiced up, he swung for the fences on every pitch, and he hit a lot of home runs. But, if you needed a hit to win the game, is he going to give you a single? Is he going to give you a double? No, and Judge
he's going to go for the home run. He wanted the stat. So I 100% agree that I 100% agree. The catcher should get it over Aaron Judge 10 times over. He's done something more impressive with the harder position.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, you have to go down there every single play, and you're involved in every pitch. I mean, every pitch, you got to be back there where... And Judge is also DHing now. I mean, he's injured. He's going to be slowing down probably with it because his numbers have been down, which I say that. Still has an 800 OPS since the injury, which is better than almost, most players. And he's still getting his intentional walks where game's on the line. Do you want to pitch to him? No. You walk him more times than not. He's very feared. He's a better hitter all around. I'm not going to argue that, but I got to go Cal here. Just this season. It's one of those where it's like, you could give Joker in the NBA the MVP every year, but if someone else is out there setting a record, maybe you give it to him, and I think this is the case this year.
Yeah.
All right, well, we both agree. What is your hot take of the week?
So I have two, but my question is, which would you want to hear? Do you want to hear my esports one, or do you want to hear my baseball one?
Esports, I'm not very well informed, and I
That's
know
fair.
Baseball, this should be fun because I know you're a big football guy. Baseball, but
Yeah.
you're not like a hardcore baseball guy. So a hot take could be really fun here from baseball.
Yeah.
I want to hear the baseball one.
So I'm going to keep it close to home. I'm very much going to keep it close to home with the Cardinals. And this is my, I don't know necessarily how the draft works within the MLB, but I think the Cardinals should tank. I think the Cardinals should just hard tank. I think they should just release Arenado, start playing a young player, really just do that hard reset. You guys have tried so hard to fix minute things, to just slowly build, for it to ultimately just fail. Just screw it. Hard reset. Drop Arenado, let somebody pick him up from waivers. Bring up some of those AAA guys. Literally just use this last bit of the season as testing ground. Don't even care about the win-loss stat. Purposely go for those losses just so you can test out the young guns. If you get wins, you get wins. That's awesome. But don't go in there thinking you're going to get a win. Go in there thinking, okay, how is this guy going to go versus next year? Because even if we get into the playoffs, it's going to be a wild card embarrassment. I don't think we're going to make it past the wild card if we even get into the wild card. I think you're much better off just straight up losing full, but getting a better look at each of your players in a true game scenario.
Yeah.
And, just having that confidence moving forward next year instead of struggling to keep up with everybody this year.
I mean, it's just a weird season. We weren't supposed to be competitive. I think if you ask a lot of Cardinals fans that were really following the team coming into this year, the team kind of overperformed to start. And the fact that we're around 500 is kind of the norm, but this was supposed to be the youth movement, and I haven't seen enough of the youth playing every single day.
The Youngery movement.
We're getting it now because we have injuries. You're seeing Burleson a lot more at first base. You have people rotating at third because Arenado has been hurt. I will never root for the Cardinals to lose. We are fans of the team. But if they have a bunch of great performances down the stretch, and it's a lot of the vets that end up struggling, like let's just say Michaelis is awful down the stretch, which is very possible. Palante, he struggles down the stretch, and we don't win a bunch of games. We get a good draft pick. That's the best thing for the team because we draft very well as an organization. We don't develop very well. You see guys that just dominate the minor leagues. They get high up on the prospect list like Jordan Walker, and then they come up here and struggle. But I want to see Quinn Matthews up here at the end of the year. I want to see the younger guys and get to know what we got and give them some major league experience because they're going to struggle. A lot of them are. They're going to come out here. They're going to struggle. They got to get used to moving up to the higher level. It's the same with going college, NFL, or any sport. Going to that next level, you're going against the best of the best. And I want to see the guys come up here and even if they suck, even if we lose, give them those reps. And then hopefully we get a decent draft position this year. And the MLB draft is extremely weird. You can't trade picks. Certain teams are excluded from drafting in the top 10 during certain years because of market factors and if they've picked in the top 10 before. It's so weird. I don't even fully understand it. I just know the Cardinals had a good draft this year. I liked our pick. J.J. Weatherholt should be very nice for the future coming up. Hopefully next year we get to see him. But I'm disappointed that every year it's the same song and dance that we're mediocre. We don't have the talent to get over the hump. It was supposed to be a reset year this year, and it didn't really feel like it. I understand we sold the deadline, which was nice. We didn't add. We got prospects. But it's Mozeliak doing the same thing and the DeWitts saying, make sure we're not bad. We need to put asses in seats, and it's still not working. Attendance is down because the fans have nothing to root for, and that's why I'm wearing this Mariners hat today. The season is pointless from here on out for the Cardinals. Other than development, getting guys reps. I care about this team right now a little bit more because we're in the playoff race. I would go to a Mariners game. They at least tried. They have a game plan going into the season, even though their front office has been controversial in the past, where the Cardinals don't. So I think if you give us a game plan, you tell the fans, we're going to, tank a little bit here and there, maybe reset, rebuild, retool, as they love to say. the fans would be receptive to that, and that's probably the move moving forward. That was a really long
yeah.
response. I apologize for the rambling there.
No, dude, that's kind of why I love these. Is I like these opinions are, you know, I like that we're able to agree on that because I don't know. Like you said, I never root against the Cardinals. But at the same time, I think us using this time to develop younger talent would be better than us using this time to try and desperately grasp a wild card slot. You know, it's pointless for us to get into the playoffs because if we get into the playoff, this is not a 2011 dream run. This is not a 2019 Blues dream run. This is if we make wild card, we're going to get embarrassed by the wild card. And we're going to get sent home with even more dread and despair for Cardinals fans than what's actually necessary.
Right. Because that'd be bad. I mean, we make the wild card, and I understand new management next year, Mozeliak's out, but the Cardinals' train of thought ever since 2011, and they also saw 2006, is all we got to do is be a wild card team. All we got to do is get in because we've done it in the past, and that's just not how it works.
No.
You have to be one of those top spending teams. You have to have talent on your roster. And those seasons, we did. They just underperformed, or we had injuries, or the pitching staff wasn't quite there. But you had Pujols, you had Holiday, you had Beltran. You had guys that could go out there and get it done in the postseason. And right now, I look at this team, and every time an ace gets on the mound for the other team, we're not getting hits, and our pitchers can't stack up. Like, what's the point of making the wild card I get it, you want to get in for the playoff revenue. You're not even guaranteed a home game. You're going to play the first 2 games on the road and probably lose. And you're going to have Sonny Gray go out there and maybe Liberatore. I mean, it'd be good for Liberatore to get some experience, and Sonny Gray as well. I don't know. Oh, I might sound stupid for this, but I don't believe Gray has pitched in the playoffs before. But that also sounds Joey. No, he definitely has because he was on the Twins when they made it. But he doesn't have a lot of experience. He hasn't got to go to a CS and go play in the World Series, and I don't know if he's ever going to with us. Anyways, into the trenches. That was fun. We had some good takes. We're going to move into Battle of the Bets, which is one of the best segments that we have on here because it's of our own creation. You're not going to see other sports shows doing something like this, and if they do, we started it, all right? So the way this segment works, we get 100 hypothetical dollars every month. This is episode 3, so we've had 2 parlays we've put together so far, and the host with the most money won at the end of the month is our winner. And I got very lucky last week. I was able to cash out for $127 on a $20 bet. But both of us still have some money in the bank. We got 2 bets left to finish the month, and you were close as well. You were one touchdown away from $270, which I was sweating. I was like, mine hit, and it's not going to matter. You would have been up by a full another bet on me. All right.
I was, it was heartbreaking, to say the least. I
had
such faith.
It was good. You had a good bet.
It was the former Battlehawk, too. I was putting my money on him.
Yeah, it was Sailors needed a touchdown for Jet last week, and he didn't get it. But you had Genty and Mason Wynn. So Genty with a touchdown in that game, and then you had Mason Wynn total bases, which I didn't like at the time. Hits a home run. And then for me, I had Brian Wu over on strikeouts, which was great. Jackson Dart over on passing yards. And then I can't remember what my PCA. I was doing a PCA hate watch going against the Pirates. 1.5 bases, man, against the Pirates. Come on. Like, that's all you needed. And he couldn't get it done against a pretty crappy starting pitcher. So PCA, still PC ass. Me or you first?
All right. You know what? I'll go first.
You want to go first on this one?
I will go first on this one.
All right. Well,
so
here's
my
your
picks.
bets.
Let's go. So my bets. Let's just start top to bottom. Hunter Renfroe, higher than 17.5 receiving yards. He didn't play last year, but the year before that, he was with I think they were at that point the Las Vegas Raiders. Hunter Renfroe is easily one of the best receivers in the game right now, but he is underrated with just how little people know about him. I think it was because he was on the Raiders that he was underappreciated, but he's a playmaker. He's quick. He's he has that elusiveness that he could get past some of those secondaries. So, and I think they're going to want to see a lot more, especially since he had last year off. I think they're going to want to see a lot more of him preseason week 3 because they're going to want to use him a lot in week 1, especially with the Panthers. I think Hunter Renfrow is 100% going to get higher than 17.5 receiving yards. And I really want to see how he progresses throughout the season. Now, my second one, the Pastronaut, Joshua Dobbs. He's with the Patriots. Again, they've been working to play some. I have him higher than half a passing touchdown. I don't think he's going to ball out. I don't think he's going to do, full-on 400-yard numbers in a preseason game. But do I think he'll throw for at least one touchdown in that entire game? 110%. It's against the Giants. 110% I think he's going to pass for higher than a touchdown. And that's about it. Browns versus Rams. Joe Flacco, higher than 56.5 passing yards. I definitely think he's going to get higher than that. The Rams defense is scary. But I think they're going to want to play Joe Flacco, see how he goes for week 1. I think they're going to want to see a little bit more progression from their starter, especially since, they played their rookies this past week. I think they're going to want to start to get, the old man in there and get him warmed up, ready for the season. So, yeah, I picked the higher on every single bet, but I think every single bet, the higher was the better option of these, because I can't see myself losing just about any of these. If I lose, I lose, but I feel confident in my bets this week.
We might see Bond in that game. He actually really wants to play. I mean, it's the final preseason game, so he wants to get some reps. So we could see Isaiah Bond in that one. And I really like the Renfrow pick. People sleep on him because he's never put up the big numbers. But if you need a first down and you're going to go through the air, he runs great routes. He's open. He has good hands. He's dependable. When he was with Derek Carr, it was if it's 3rd and 1, man, and you don't want to run it or it's 3rd and short, he's getting the football. It's a first down, and that was the beauty of that offense back when the Raiders actually had some hope, and they actually made the playoffs.
Back when
the
Raiders were a playoff team.
Yeah, made it 1 year with Derek Carr. Dude, what a career he could have had. That first year he comes in, gets injured, and they have to start the backup in the postseason. That was so unfortunate. The Raiders were so good.
That was so rough.
And we were thinking Derek Carr could be the next coming of Christ, and he definitely wasn't.
And then they traded him to the Saints.
Yeah, and New Orleans hated that man. I mean, he better not walk the streets at night of New Orleans. Those fans do not like Derek Carr. I think they'd take him over.
No.
Shock, though.
Oh, yeah.
Battle of the bets. So you need, even if this hits, you're still going to be behind me, but it'll be close. It's going to come down to the last week for you. I'm going to put the most amount of money. Last week?
But that last week, I got $50. So
right. So if you do hit,
that'll be my go big or go home.
Yeah, you can go with, $50, and you can go with a safe bet and potentially pass me, especially if you get this one to hit. Mm-hmm. I'm going all baseball. This is our biggest bet that we've seen. I'm going $30, which gives me $30 left for next week. So I'm kind of blowing my load here, which, pause. I'm using my money.
Pause.
Yeah. I'm not blowing my load. That would go against YouTube TOS. So I'm going to go Shohei Ohtani, lower than 5.5 strikeouts. And this seems weird. They're playing against the Rockies. Why would you doubt him? Especially with what he did against the Cardinals a few starts ago. I think it was 8 strikeouts in 4 innings, which was hard to watch. And, we still won that baseball game. So, screw the Dodgers. But anyways, the main reason why I'm going lower here, I get it's the Rockies. They're not a good baseball team. But you are pitching at Coors, and it is hard to strike guys out at Coors. I wouldn't be shocked if he did it, but I liked the odds on it. It definitely adds a lot to this parlay in the odds category. It's just the ball doesn't move. It's hard to have good stuff when you're at Coors because the ball just doesn't snap. But, the Rockies hitters are bad, so we'll see. Mike Trout, they're going against the Reds tonight. I don't like the Reds starter here. They are in L.A., so they don't get to play in the boombox that is a Great American Small Park. I'm going to go higher, 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. He's a dog, one of the best players of our generation. If he doesn't have the injuries, I think he breaks a lot of career records. But I like it. I think that, why not? Why not? It's the Reds. They're not the greatest team on the planet. They got a starting pitcher out there tonight that I think he can light up. And all he needs is to get a hit, score a run, and we got ourselves a hit on that leg. And then Rafael Devers. They're going up against J.P. Sears tonight. He's not good. I think he has an ERA in the 5s. I see no reason why he couldn't go out there tonight and give me higher hits, runs, and RBIs. And they are at Petco, which is a little bit easier to hit in than, their home ballpark. So I'm going with that as my 3 legs. I'm not the most confident in it because I put it together as I was extremely tired this morning and didn't get to do the level of research I wanted. But yeah, $30 to win 169. That's not awful. The odds aren't super long, but baseball is a weird sport, from night to night. So it'll be interesting to see if Trout and Devers can get it done for me. Battle of the bets, man. It's coming down to that last week here. I feel like if I hit this week, it should be all but over, but you got $50. So that last parlay for you is going to be the deciding
That's
one.
going to make or break. That's going to make or break this whole month for me. And I think, let me check my handy-dandy NFL app real quick. I think next week is actually... Nope, I lied. Next week is like the last preseason week. There's no NFL, so that one I'm going to have to bet on like baseball or something.
Yeah, but you could do it, or WNBA. Just find a player you don't like, bet the under.
You know what? I might. I just might. Don't you worry. I'll find... It'll be interesting for me next week when it's, a $50 bucket bet.
Yeah, and those are the ones that usually hit. You have no hope.
Right?
I actually, one of my friends, Jonah Nagel, last year, he put together a parlay one week. He bet on every single NFL game for the week, and he hit for a few grand. So hopefully we can do some team betting. I don't know if we're going to keep doing underdog and just do player props because I know we want to do some team stuff eventually.
Yeah.
And when the NFL season starts, we're definitely picking every game during the week. So be sure to tune in for that. We're going to pick every game. We're going to be going up against probably my father, and a few of my friends will also be in this league, and we got to see if we can beat the casuals. I mean, that's what we got to do. Go out there, show that we know what we're talking about here on Zuggy Zone. That was Battle of the Bets. We are going to move into wins and losses, which is a segment where we just cover the standings of all of the major leagues going on right now, which is only baseball at the moment. So wins and losses, Major League Baseball. Do you want the AL or do you want the NL?
You know what? I'll take the NL. You go for the AL.
All right, well, then I will start us off. It is the same old song and dance over in the AL East. Toronto Blue Jays on top, but the Yankees have been hot, won their last 4 games. They're starting to look a little better, but they need pitchers like Max Fried to step up. I kind of was talking to my friend, we're looking at my fantasy team this week, and he was like, why aren't you starting Max Fried? I'm like, well, because he's been struggling. I mean, he has not been himself since that blister incident, and they need him to start performing if they want to go deep in the playoffs this year. You need your top guys. You always do, especially on the pitching side of things. But offense has come alive. They just set a record for their franchise history, which is absurd considering everyone that's been in that organization, for home runs in a game. Did that last night against the Rays, and they didn't score a lot of runs in that one. I think they only scored like 12 or 13. So
yeah,
you would think setting a record, you'd hit a lot more, but there's a lot of solo shots. And then the Boston Red Sox still hanging on, trying to get there. They just don't have the top-end talent. Detroit Tigers, they are still the class of the Central. The Royals, though, have gotten hot on a 5-game win streak. They have surpassed the Cleveland Guardians. I would much rather see the Royals in the playoffs than the Guardians, just to see some of the talent they have in the young players. Because let's be real, the Royals at least care about winning. They're trying to. The Guardians ownership just doesn't. I mean, they're not really trying to go all in. And then the Astros, unfortunately, are pulling away from my Seattle Mariners. I mean, we've lost our last 4. They've lost their last 3. Nobody seems to want it. Nobody seems to want it in the AL West right now. But the Astros do have more talent on their team. I expect them to get it done. I'm still holding out hope for my Mariners. And that is all for the AL. I'm not going to talk about the bottom feeders because who cares at this time of year? We're looking at postseason probabilities. We're not looking at, draft picks and the Athletics and the White Sox and the Orioles. They don't really interest me here at the moment.
So, yeah, let's just start on the NL, and we're going to start with the NL East, kind of like how we started with the AL. And I mean, we're kind of in the same old song and dance that we were last week as well. I mean, Philly's on top. They're on a 3-game win streak with the Mets right on their tail with a 3-game win streak. So, I mean, those two are really the only two in the NL East that are looking to really kind of make any sort of push. The Marlins, they're on a 2-game lose streak, but they're also with a losing record. The rest of the East is just kind of a mess. The only two to pay attention to there are the Mets and the Phillies. And I mean, the Phillies have pretty much been a lock. They're on par with like the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Astros for making the playoffs every year now. So that's about it coming out of the NL East. Now the NL Central, you got the Reds, the Cubs, and the Brewers. The Brewers are on top, 79-47. They've lost their last two, but they're still looking impressive form going into the postseason. They look like they're going to take the Central by storm. So, but I mean, the Cubs are not far behind. They're hot on the trail. They're only a few losses behind, one or two good series, and Cubs could take it. Especially since they're on a 2-game winning streak. They're feeling hot. The Reds, 67-60. They're a game behind the wild card, but I don't really see them pulling forward in any meaningful way that could put that sort of distance between them. So,
hey, but you are a Reds fan tonight. You are a Reds fan tonight because you don't want me getting my leg of my parlay.
Exactly. But other than that, the NL Central, it's pretty much already decided. And, you see the Cardinals in there. And you already know my thoughts on what the Cardinals should do with the rest of this season.
Yep.
I think we need to be below the Pittsburgh Pirates at this point. Which would be wild if we ended up being below the Pittsburgh Pirates by the end of the season.
Be very sad. Very, very sad.
Exactly. And then to wrap this up, we're going to the never important NL West.
Never important.
Never important. Never important. Why would we care about the NL West? It is Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, Rockies. You've not heard much about the Padres, Giants, or Diamondbacks really coming out of this season. Now the Rockies and the Dodgers, you never stop hearing about. Rockies you never stop hearing about because they're so damn awful. And the Dodgers you never hear them stop about because that's the MLB's golden child right now. And speaking of which, 1-game win streak, but they are also at the top of the NL West. Shocker. So they're obviously going to be probably getting that top spot in the playoff and just moving forward from there. San Diego Padres, they're looking to also finish the season pretty strong going in there. They're on a 1-game win streak. They're in that wild card contention, so they're pretty strong. The Giants are the closest to possibly making any sort of move in the West going forward. But they're so far behind that and they're on a 1-game losing streak already, which they're already regressing in the wrong direction. Now they could win later on, but I mean, everybody's in win now mode to kind of go. So yeah, no, the pretty much how you see the standings right now in the NL West. That's very, very highly how it's going to go the rest of the
I mean, it is scary. It is scary in the National League right now. The Brewers are probably getting that bye. They're not going to have to play the wild card round. I mean, unless something happens, which baseball is a weird sport. Things can, win streaks can come out of nowhere. I mean, they won $1 billion in a row, and now they've lost 2 straight. But I think the Brewers are getting it. But look, the Phillies, the Mets, the Dodgers, and the Padres are all kind of right there end of the season. And as you know, the top 2 division winners get that bye. They're all just trying to make the playoffs for one, win their division second, and then after that, trying to get ahead and not be the 3rd worst division winner. And the Dodgers have a record comparable to the Rockies coming out of the All-Star break. They've only won, I think, 2 more games than the Rockies have, which says that the Rockies are doing better, even though they have a losing record. They're never going to have a winning record this year over any stretch. But the Dodgers have struggled, which I figured with the Padres going all in, they should be able to catch up, but they're also just not getting it done right now. And if we take a look at the wild card, which will be our final thing to look at here today, if it would actually load, thank you, ESPN. New York Yankees still holding on to that top wild card spot, which they moved up recently. The Mariners, they're form has not been great as of late. But the Royals, right there, 2.5 games back. They have a few good series. They could find themselves leapfrogging Boston, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. Boston I don't know, man. They're such a mid team this year, which is ironic because my team's also a very mid team this year. But I just think we have better pitching. We had a better deadline, and we're in win now mode. So are the Royals. I think they leapfrog them there. And then you still have Cleveland and the Rangers. If they get hot, maybe, just maybe. And the Cubs, Padres, and Mets, they should be the teams to make it. We've talked about this. We don't want to see the Reds in. We don't want to see the Cardinals in. It just wouldn't be entertaining. Those 3 teams have a lot more talent, and they have a lot more going for them. And they're all in win-now mode. I don't want to see a team that just kind of gets in there and they're there, but they just get swept in the wild card. Those series will be really fun to watch. The Cubs and the Padres, that'd be a great wild card series, very entertaining to watch. And then the Mets getting fed to whoever that third division winner is. The Mets always make it a good series. They have a lot of talent on their roster. Should be a fun playoff this year. Really looking forward to it.
Honestly, if it's the Mets and the Dodgers, we're almost kind of getting a rehash of the World Series, but instead it's the other side of that coin in the New York teams. And to be honest, if I see Mets get fed to the Dodgers, I almost kind of want the Mets to beat the Dodgers.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
I want the Mets to beat the Dodgers. It's like, hey, imagine having that looming over, your freeway rival my bad. That's the subway rival, not the freeway
Subway
rival.
Series.
The Subway Series, not the
Mets
freeway
can get it done, but the
series.
Yankees can't. Twitter would be a lot of fun that day.
Oh, wow. I couldn't imagine being in New York that week because that would start fights. And honestly, I'm for it. I kind of want to see it. But I think the Brewers take it. I think the Brewers 100% take it. I think the Phillies take it. The Dodgers, there's no shot that they don't. I mean, this phrase is very much overused, but it's very much true with the Dodgers. It's a bought and paid for team.
Yeah. And with
they have
Ohtani,
Shohei, they have Freddie Freeman, they have so much talent that it is impossible not to call it a bought and paid for team.
But they got to get healthy. I mean, right now the Brewers are hot. They have a several game advantage. It'll probably be Brewers-Mets, which was a really fun wild card series last year. Probably the best wild card series we've seen in the new format. I mean, the walk-offs, the drama back and forth. You got a game 3. I'd be okay with seeing that. It's 2 teams I don't love a lot. I mean, the Brewers, I never want to see them succeed, which goes against my philosophy as a fan because they've never won before. They don't have a lot of success. They need a ring. But you're also rivals with my favorite team, so I can't really ever root for you. Any finishing thoughts on wins and losses?
I mean, again, I think my biggest thing is just I would rather see the Cardinals lower on that list. Again, I'm never going to root for them to lose, but I'd rather see them lower on the list, but test out more rookies so next year we could actually get into that wild card spot and earn a wild card spot versus seeing them so close, but yet knowing that they don't really deserve to be that close with how they've played,
Yeah, I'm with you there on that. Well, that was wins and losses. We'll come back with you guys next week on that one, and we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of fun battles in Major League Baseball right now. And it should be a very entertaining end to the season, even if our favorite teams, aren't necessarily doing the greatest right now. I mean, the Mariners are there, man. We have the staff for it, but our bullpen keeps giving up runs and throwing away games, and the offense can't keep up if you're giving up, 6 runs and playing against the Mets, gave up a lot of runs in that series. And Cal's not, he's my MVP, but needs to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is, I think, the entire show today. Do you have any finishing thoughts?
A couple big things got announced while we were talking on the show. First one, L'Jarius Sneed now passed his physical, and he's going to be participating in a limited capacity, which, from a former Chiefs fan, L'Jarius Sneed, phenomenal cornerback. He's great. It's good to see him back in function. I know he didn't want to go to Tennessee, but maybe that can help Tennessee later on down the run, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He's a phenomenal ball player, and I wish him nothing but the best, so I'm glad to see that. And then the next one, Dolphins have activated tight end Darren Waller. You know, the one who
Ooh.
retired to focus on his rap career, and now he unretired so he could go play for the Dolphins. He is now officially off of the physically unable to perform or the PUP list, and he will now be able to fully participate in practices and games. He will now fully be able to start playing in the NFL again after 3-4 years separated. So, I mean...
Yeah. I mean,
just some quick breaking news right there at the end.
He's such an interesting guy. You know, he was so good there for a season or two and then just got off the field, you know, had his personal life issues again, which he's had a lot of issues over, you know, his life. He had to really work towards getting to the NFL. It was really hard for him. He got a shot. It really paid off for a while and then just kind of relapsed and went down the rapper path, which you can't do that. Definitely can't do that.
Kind of like what we were talking about with Derek Carr and Hunter Renfrow and that playoff team. Darren Waller was a part of that. Darren Waller was their tight end during that time, and so he went from that and he played a year for the Giants under Daniel Jones of all players. It's all just coming full circle right here at the wrap-up. But, I mean, he played 1 year for the Giants and he was done. And now he's with the Dolphins. I don't know what he's expecting out of the Dolphins, but
a paycheck?
Yeah, probably.
My final question for you before we wrap things up, and everybody at home. Fantasy football. The drafts are starting. And the main man that everyone debates every year, Kyle Pitts. Are you a believer, or are you not going to touch him this year?
I know I didn't touch him, but that's also because I ended up getting Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I would take Brock Bowers every day.
So
he's bald now. That adds extra tight end aura.
Exactly. Now, do I think that Kyle Pitts is good? Yeah. I don't think he's a terrible pick at all. Do I think wasting a first-round pick on him is bad? Yeah. I think Kyle Pitts should be a second or third-round pick. I don't think he needs to be a first-round pick. Now, depending on how big your draft, like your league is, my league right now that I'm a part of is only like 8 people. So you can afford to take him in the second or third round without people really thinking of him. But some people, they have those like 16 to 20 people leagues. Maybe Kyle Pitts is a first-round draft pick then. But if you're in an 8-person league like me, save him for the second or third round. Most people are not going to think about it.
Well, I mean, people are going to punt tight end anyways. I mean, there's only a few guys in the league that are super viable in that regard. I mean, tight ends are hard to come by. And, you know, I wish my tight end would have made that catch in the championship game last year. But unfortunately, he didn't, and we lost. Anyways, that is all for Zuggy Zone this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. We finally got the live stream to work.
I know, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, we didn't lag a whole lot. I wonder, you know, what the delay and everything looks like because we can't fully watch it while we're going. We don't have a, hey, Jamie, can you check out the stream? Can you pull something up? We don't got a third guy. You know, we're the graphics people. We're the talent. We're doing the whole thing.
What you see on screen is what you get. Truly.
Yep. So I appreciate everybody for watching today's show. It was a good one. I got to go help my sister move into college. So that's going to be fun, stressful. There's going to be some emotion. I'm sure there's going to be some tears from the parents. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
See ya. Deuces.